Hello everyone, how are you doing today? Thank you so much for being with us one more time. You are getting informed with 36 News fully in English. I am Ricardo Acuña and the following are our top stories. From minimum security prison was finally recaptured on Wednesday morning in the Desamparados de Alajuela. According to the Ministry of Justice and Peace, the arrest was carried out by the public force, who then made the proper arrangements to have him transferred back to the prison. And 3 police officers with the last names of Mena Gamboa, Alvarado Avalos, and Fernandez Rodriguez are all from the Guapiles Police Department and were arrested on Wednesday by the judicial authorities for stealing and selling 15 kilograms of cocaine. According to the Judicial Investigation Organism, on March 21st, the officers broke into a car and stole the drugs that were inside, to later sell the drugs to members of the alias Diablo gang for 50 million colones, which is like about $25,000. During the arrest, cell phones, cash, ammunition, and magazines were seized. At least 3 houses were affected by the fire that was caused early this Thursday morning in the Tirasa sector of Curridabat. According to the fire department, the call came in and around 7:30 a.m., so 2 fire trucks and 1 ambulance were dispatched to the area to control the flames. Fortunately, no one was hurt. Starting at midnight on this Thursday, the new prices for fuel were published, and probably they are the most significant publication in the last few months because gasoline will now increase. Super is currently 66 colones per liter, and now it will cost 787 colones. Regular will increase to 52 colones per liter and will reach to 744 colones. In the case of diesel, will rise 44 colones per liter, reaching 634 colones per liter. According to the Chamber of Fuel Dealers, this is due to the price of crude oil on the foreign market. LP gas will also suffer a significant increase of 436 colones in its 25-pound container. According to the experts, this will be trend in fuel prices at least for the remaining of 2023. On Wednesday, during a routine operation in Parita, the Judicial Investigation Organism of Quepos found a bag containing different types of drugs, a firearm, and a large amount of ammunition. The bag was apparently left behind by criminals dedicated to drug trafficking, and when they noticed the presence of the police, they chose to leave the bag and flee the area. The Digital Communications Department from the Universidad Latina of Costa Rica did a report for the last quarter for the months of June to August, which showed changes in the perception and behavior of the population on social networks and what sites were mostly visited depending on the content. It is important to emphasize that this information is obtained from social networks and analyzed as it happens. For example, the president decreased in the amount of positive comments he received on social network, reaching a total of 38.7%, with negative comments reaching to 36.6%, leaving 24.6% neutral comments. Another result is the number of negative comments received by members of the government in general, from the cabinet ministers and executive presidents, who have received almost half of the total negative comments. Another important result to mention is that after several studies similar to this, the Ministry of Public Works and Transportation does not top the list of acceptance, because on this occasion it was surpassed by the current Minister of Public Security, Mario Zamora, with his announcements about the police operations, drug seizures, and the slight decrease in homicides in the past quarter, which was met with good acceptance by internet users. Another that appears on the list that received the highest ratings was the visit of the President to the White House, which also shows an increase in the audience of users at live events and conferences transmitted by the government through YouTube and Facebook. Political gender violence also appears again in this study, placing Gloriana Lopez Fuscaldo, former Minister for Children and Adolescents, as the most attacked political figure, contributing to others who are commonly on the list, like Congresswoman Pilar Cisneros and Dinora Barquero. This study only aims to show an overview of how social networks move in terms of what and how they publish government issues and where the most discussions are happening. The Minister of Health issued a public sanitary alert due to the increase in the numbers of dengue cases. At epidemiological week 34, which ranges between August 20 to the 26th, 8,261 cases of dengue were reported, which means an increase of almost double cases that had been reported last year for the same dates. That is, it went from 4,880 cases to 8,261 cases, which is a 42% more than last year's numbers. The ministry has been working to strengthen the prevention of this disease by spraying, collecting tires, forming alliances with different institutions and companies, and intervening in the priority areas. Also, weeks ago, it launched the Basta de Aplauses communication campaign with the objective of impacting the public through clear and precise messages about the elimination of breeder sites to combat these types of diseases. And today it has been a day partially sunny, partially rainy. How the weather is going to behave, here we have the information. For this Thursday, we had a gradual decrease in the moisture due to the drier air mass over the country. However, we did experience some scattered showers in certain areas. In the early morning hours, we had partly cloudy skies with showers on the coast of the Caribbean and South Pacific with warm temperatures as well. Towards the evening, we are going to have insulated showers and thunderstorms in the Central and South Pacific, as well as in the mountainous sectors to the west and north of the Central Valley. The moderate trade wind and a lower content in the atmospheric humidity will be ripening the weather. However, the presence of rains with thunderstorms is also anticipated, especially for the central and southern Pacific regions, as well as to the east in the mountainous of the Central Valley and towards the east near the coast of the Gulf of Nicoya. Temperatures will remain warm, especially in the Pacific regions, while throughout the day cloudiness will be making inroads in the Caribbean and northern regions. The Central American Bank of Economic Integration approved a new financing package for $400 million for the Ministry of Public Works and Transportation to improve the national roads and to promote the construction of new projects. Certain projects were contemplated in the package, such as the Barranca Limonal project, the Lindora radio station in Santa Ana, pedestrian bridges over Route 32, and several others. The projects within this loan add up more than 400 kilometers of roads to either be built, expanded, or repaired. The National Road Council, CONAVI, announced that for 96 days the passage over the Quebrada Valverde on the National Route 717 in the canton of Grecia will be closed because they will be installing a new sewer system with greater hydraulic capacity to avoid flooding in this area. Both sides of the road will be completely closed as this system covers both lanes. There will be approximately 115 meters of piping. The total cost for this is around 270 million colones, which is about $140,000. This job was awarded to the MECO Construction Company, and it is expected to be finished by December 15. The Ministry of Public Education has celebrated 202 years of independence. Find out how in the following summary of national news.
Officials of the Ministry of Education celebrated independence with a civic ceremony organized by the Curriculum Development Department at their main office located in Sabana Norte. The President and the Ministry of Environment and Energy reported that more than 800 million colones was allocated to the province of Limon for the protection of 19,972 hectares of forest land, tree plantations, and small and medium-sized tree farms. The Hospital Mexico acquired 75 new stretchers to improve the quality of care and safety for outpatient consultations. This investment was around $168,000. The Vice Minister of Bilateral Affairs and International Cooperation and the Costa Rican Ambassador to Canada with the Vice President of Commercial Development and Marketing of the Canadian Commercial Corporation met at the Costa Rican Embassy in Canada to discuss investment projects that would be of great interest to the country. The Technological University helped the indigenous women located in the canton of Talamanca by giving them laptops to teach them how to use them, and also gave them information on technical administrative management, operating systems, and computer tools. The 2023 Corn and Bean meeting started a technical day of field work, with extension workers and technicians from institutions in the agricultural sector, the Rural Development Institute and also the Costa Rica National Seed Office. For the fifth consecutive year, Mexico Hospital is awarded 6 stars by the Ecological Blue Flag program in the Community Health category. The local Environmental Management Commission of the Hospital Mexico regarding the management of recoverable waste, such as plastic and cardboard, was given a score of 100 points and with great satisfaction for the work carried out. And 250 older adults benefited from the dental sedation program provided by the National Geriatrics Hospital, which optimizes oral health and provides a better quality of life for older adult patients.
Costa Ricans will be able to follow the route of the torch in real time thanks to an innovative technological application. This project was coordinated between several members of the cabinet along with the Ministry of Science, Innovation, Technology and Telecommunications, MISIT, the company Google and Serve Information. They promise to bring Costa Ricans up close to one of the most deep-rooted traditions in the country for the very first time in a completely new way. And the Social Protection Board's Independence Day lottery will be a jackpot of 640 million colones, which is about $1.3 million. For this occasion, the price of the whole tandem is 15,000 and each individual ticket is 1,500 colones. You can personally buy them from official sellers on the website www.gpsnlinea.com. Those who wanted to participate in the lottery that was promoting the commemoration of the Afro-descendant culture had time to purchase tickets today until 6 p.m. For Children's Day, the Ministry of Culture and Youth has organized a wide variety of activities designed for the whole family to enjoy it, but mostly for the little ones in the house. This celebration was established by Executive Order number 13 on July 12, 1946, and coincides with the anniversary of the Declaration of the Rights of the Child. This special day seeks to promote optimal social, moral, and economic conditions for children, according to the organic law of the National Children's Board. The activities planned for this year include theater, clowns, circus shows, puppets, live music, workshops, magic shows, face painting, storytelling, movies, traditional games, and guided tours. These activities are opportunities for healthy leisure and recreation education, as well as providing access to art and culture. The municipality of Santa Cruz, along with the municipal council and the residents of the Cartagena area, are working on the design for the new Cartagena Park with the purpose of promoting development, improving the quality of life for the residents in this area, and to have a place that becomes a recreational spot. The new park will have an amphitheater, a field for soccer 5, a basketball field, green areas, and a pedestrian walkway. The municipality of La Cruz campaigned to collect electronic waste such as monitors, printers, CPUs, keyboards, televisions, microwaves, and even washing machines and telephones. They also collected recyclable waste such as plastic, aluminum, paper, cardboard, newspapers, and magazines. However, they did not receive batteries of any kind of fluorescence. This activity was organized in the Central Park from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. the residents of Cañas who didn't make their lantern yet for this September 14 had the chance to do so in the municipal library today from 1:30 to 3:30 in the afternoon. The municipality of Cañas hosted a workshop to create lanterns with recoverable waste, and everyone was invited to participate. Now let's have some piece of sports, because the scenic beauties of our country will be seen at the first international motorboat competition being held for 1 week in our country. The event will be next year on a date and time still yet to be defined. Spectators will see 20 international teams made up for 4 participants compete down narrow rivers along the 2 beautiful coasts of Costa Rica. The first 3 days of the competition will connect Puerto Limón with Tortuguero, passing through Barrio del Colorado to reach Puerto Viejo. Then the next 3 days to Vara to meet up with the competitors from Caldera to Quepos, then to Bahía Draque, and the final stretch will be in the Golfo Dulce in the extreme south of the country. During the 6 days of competition, the participants will travel 500 nautical miles, which is a little more than 900 kilometers. In the next few months, the organizers of the competition will publish the requirements needed to participate.
A different and fun podcast. From Monday to Friday at 3 p.m. and replay at 8 p.m. Political interviews, current affairs, sports, and conversation among friends. My program. Only here in Trivision Channel 36. As a part of our commitment to inform people of Costa Rica in the best way possible, in Trivision Channel 36, we have the guarantee seal of the Association of Journalists and Communication Professionals. We continue to carry ethical and objective information throughout Trivision Channel 36 from Guanacaste to all of Costa Rica.
With just 10 working days left until funding for the U.S. government runs out on September 30th, there is almost no chance the Republican majority House and Democratic majority U.S. Senate can agree on a full year of funding in time.
Time is short, and the only way to avoid a shutdown is through bipartisanship in both the House and the Senate. House Republicans have their first chance to show their commitment to bipartisanship when they return next week.
Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy faces criticism from conservative members of his party for cutting a deal earlier this year to avoid the U.S. hitting its debt ceiling. He argues a short-term spending bill keeping the government open will allow Republicans more time to negotiate spending levels.
They're really having some tough negotiations and debates just within their own party. And so that's really where the sticking point is. And I don't know that it's any sign of law.
$840 billion in supplemental funding priorities unveiled by the Biden administration over the summer recess, including $21 billion in military and humanitarian aid for a supporter of U.S. aid to Ukraine. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell is closely watched as he returns to work after a second episode of freezing up over the summer recess. McConnell downplayed concerns about his health Tuesday.
One particular moment of my time back home has received its fair share of attention in the press over the past week. But I assure you, August was a busy and productive month for me.
The U.S. Senate physician said there is no evidence that a stroke or seizure caused McConnell's episodes. Most Senate Republicans say they are still confident in his ability to lead.
I don't know that anyone has a responsibility to lay out all of their medical documents, but we do look at that the leader and how he's able to manage our caucus, and it's very clear he's been able to raise the money, get people elected, direct us on important policy issues.
U.S. lawmakers will also debate the massive annual national defense authorization after clashing over competing versions of the $886 billion legislation earlier this summer. Catherine Gibson, VOA News.
Recent statements by an Israeli far-right minister have reignited decades-old accusations from Palestinians who said Israel is imposing an apartheid regime by enforcing separate laws for Israelis and Palestinians in the West Bank.
When Israel's hardline National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir was interviewed recently on Israeli TV about the latest in a wave of Palestinian terror attacks against Israelis, he made a distinction between the rights of Jews and Arabs in the West Bank, which he calls by the biblical names of Judea and Samaria.
My right, the right of my wife and my children to move around freely on the roads of Judea and Samaria, is more important than the right of movement of the Arabs.
Ben-Gvir's comments revived the decades-long controversial debate about Israel and apartheid, both within Israel and abroad. American supermodel Bella Hadid, whose father is Palestinian, sharply criticized the comment on Instagram, where she has close to 60 million followers. The Palestinian Ministry of Foreign Affairs said it only confirms Israel's apartheid regime of Jewish supremacy. Many Israelis object to calling Israel an apartheid state, saying that apartheid is unique to South Africa. The word apartheid means apartness in the South African Afrikaans language and refers to that country's former policy of segregation and discrimination of its citizens based on race. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said in a recent interview with U.S. media that the apartheid accusation against Israel is hogwash and that the real danger in the region is the desire for ethnic cleansing of Jews.
Israel has never annexed the territories, and therefore Palestinians are not citizens of the state of Israel. They're their own distinct group of people who are currently in a stateless existence due to a conflict, living under a military occupation. But as long as Israel has not annexed those territories, it's under no obligation to grant citizenship to another group of people, and therefore it cannot be classified as a legitimate apartheid state.
But many Palestinians say that even if Israel has not officially annexed the West Bank, it has controlled the territory for more than 50 years. Israeli settlers living in the West Bank are governed by Israeli civil law, which gives them rights and freedoms that are denied to the Palestinians, who are governed by Israeli military law.
By Ben-Gvir basically confirming Jewish supremacy, he is just saying what I believe anyone with eyes and ears and is looking at this situation has recognized for a very long time, including all of the mainstream human rights organizations. This is apartheid in full color.
Many pro-Israel organizations say that accusing Israel of apartheid is a form of anti-Semitism because it's used disproportionately to attack only the Jewish state and not the many governments around the world that perpetrate human rights abuses.
Apartheid anti-Semitism has become a branded slur against the state of Israel in toto. People are throwing out this nomenclature, which is essentially erasure towards the Jewish state, and that replaces erasure of the Jewish people.
As Israel approaches the 30th anniversary of the Oslo peace accords with the Palestinians that created the framework for a two-state solution, a permanent agreement remains evasive. Observers say the practice of enforcing separate sets of laws for the two peoples on the same territory will continue to fuel accusations of apartheid. Linda Gradstein, VOA News, Jerusalem.
Around 2,100 U.S. and 1,900 Indonesian troops are taking part in joint military exercises in East Java, Indonesia. It is the biggest interaction of this annual exercise and comes amid rising tensions between Southeast Asia and China.
The live-fire Garuda Shield annual exercises began in 2009 as a bilateral military exercise involving the U.S. and Indonesian military. Since 2022, with the involvement of more and more countries, it was dubbed Super Garuda Seal and is now one of the largest joint multinational exercises in the Indo-Pacific region.
This exercise will be held for 14 days and will be attended by 17 countries. 6 countries will send the troops, and 11 countries will send observers.
Among the countries involved in this year's military exercises, aside from Indonesia and the US, are Japan, Australia, Singapore, and the United Kingdom.
This is Super Garuda Shield. It's bigger than it was last year, but nations are coming because of our ability to learn one another better. There's human and procedural interoperability that gets developed here that will carry us through competition, crisis, and God forbid, conflict. That's why it's important that we're here, that we might come to work better together, as Panglima said, to professionalize ourselves by learning from one another.
The Indonesian military told VOA that the primary missions of the joint exercise is to enhance bilateral and multilateral cooperation in the region. But in the current tense climate in the Indo-Pacific region, and with the involvement of US troops and allied nations, some analysts suggest such a massive undertaking is sending a message to China.
It does raise the level of tension, not unacceptably so. I think it's already pretty high, so at the most it'll make a small difference. I mean, in terms of, if you're measuring difference in terms of how China feels about Indonesia generally, yes, a small difference. But if you measure it in terms of what China will do about it now or in the near term, no difference.
Despite close security ties with the US, Indonesia, which is Southeast Asia's most populous nation, is not likely to choose sides in geopolitical tension in the region.
Indonesia is a vital partner for anybody in the region. It's a country of nearly 300 million people. It's the biggest player economically and militarily in Southeast Asia, but it's not going to align in any camp. It operates the same as Vietnam or India. It's going to cooperate with the Americans or the Japanese or the Chinese when their interests overlap.
As a sign of Jakarta's pragmatism on the matter, unlike Super Garuda Seal 2022, this year's exercises were held far away from the Natuna Sea, parts of which are disputed with China and will be held through September 13 on several coastal areas of East Java. Ahadian Utama, VOA News, East Java, Indonesia.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrived in Kiev on Wednesday on a previously unannounced two-day visit, his fourth trip to Ukraine since Russia invaded the country on February 24, 2022. The capital city was hit by Russian airstrikes just hours before Blinken's arrival by train from Poland.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken said the United States wants to help Ukraine not just survive the full-scale Russian invasion, but to thrive. Blinken announced an additional $1 billion in U.S. aid to Ukraine. He and his Ukrainian counterpart, Dmitry Kuleba, visited a recently reopened McDonald's near the opera in the capital city. Kuleba thanked Blinken for helping get the restaurant reopened, saying it inspires confidence for Ukrainians facing a long, hard war. Blinken had some fries and this to say.
And our friends at McDonald's were very eager to be back in Ukraine, to be back in Kyiv. And we've been saying to each other since they're back, the next time I was in Kyiv, we should get a chance to stop by.
But despite efforts to convey a sense of normalcy, Blinken's visit came on the same day that a Russian strike on a market in East Ukraine killed more than 16 people and wounded more than 24 others, Ukrainian sources said. There were also Russian airstrikes on Kyiv just 3 hours before the top U.S. diplomat arrived by train from Poland. Blinken said the U.S. would support Ukraine through the coming winter and beyond. Asked if he was concerned about sustaining this level of support at home, Blinken was optimistic.
Since I was last here, almost exactly 1 year ago, Ukrainian forces have taken back more than 50% of the territory seized by Russian forces since February of 2022. In the ongoing counteroffensive, progress has accelerated in the past few weeks.
But on Capitol Hill, Republican Senator Bill Haggerty told reporters he would like to see more support from U.S. allies on Ukraine.
I'd like to see an announcement coming from all the NATO members saying that they're willing to step up and go alongside us. I just got back from a trip to Europe. We've encouraged our NATO allies to actually step up their game. I'd like to see that happen.
The United States is the single largest donor of military aid to Ukraine. But a number of other countries, including Denmark, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, Slovakia, Norway, Finland, the Netherlands, the United Kingdom, and the Czech Republic, are making larger financial contributions to Ukraine relative to the size of their own economies, according to the Kiel Institute. Cindy Sain, VOA News, Washington.